the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I would go off my left and play a full measure of paradiddles. Left, right, left, and the reason is that then after that, I could go straight into left hand bucks for a bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a measure of right hand starting paradiddles. Right, left, right. What's up everybody? Welcome back to Ari Teaches Drums, where I will be teaching you all facets and fundamentals of rudimental drumming. You probably clicked on this video because you are interested in cleaning up your paradiddles, and that is fantastic. Just briefly, I want to mention that this is episode 10 in my fundamentals series. And if you've been following along, we've already covered the various main types of strokes, grip, buzz rolls, flams, drags, 4-stroke roughs, and even more. If you have a chance, feel free to check out my channel to see those other videos on all those different techniques. And if you find this video helpful, please feel free to like, drop a comment to let me know, and subscribe for even more drum content. All right, so what is a paradiddle? Well, a paradiddle is a rudiment with the sticking pattern R, L, R, R, and then off the left, it would be L, R, L, L. And another way to think of this is that you have 2 single strokes, meaning you alternate for the first 2 notes, and then you play a double stroke. And then you simply repeat that off the left hand, 2 alternating strokes, and then 1 double stroke. And the beauty and function of a paradiddle is that it essentially gets you to the other hand. So if I'm playing some patterns that are all dominated by the right hand, right? Something like, and then I'm trying to get to the left hand to lead off the left for some variety, I can do so with a paradiddle, right? So I could go, paradiddle boom, and then now I'm on the left hand and I could do patterns even off the left. So that's the general idea with a paradiddle and its function. And then also in a drum set context, paradiddles allow you to move around the drum. So maybe I want to place my right hand on a low tom, and then I want to keep my hand over here on the snare drum. So I could go paradiddle, right? Paradiddle, and then I could go over here to hit a crash cymbal or a hi-hat or something. Important to note with paradiddles, we're typically going to place an accent on the first note. So even though it's written with no accents on a rudiment chart, most typically we're going to see just the first note accented and then all the notes after as low piano taps like this. This accent pattern is most common that I found in paradiddle phrasing and dynamic contrast in both the marching and symphonic contexts. It's not always the case. Sometimes we run into paradiddles that are all at one dynamic level. Like for example, I might just be playing all paradiddles low at piano with really no accents, but usually there's some type of accent. And then another common way is that an accent is placed on a different partial. So it might not be on the first one, but we might see an accent on the second note. So like paradiddle, boom, right? Paradiddle, we might accent the second partial of those 16th notes if we're thinking in 16th notes. But like I said, most commonly, we're just gonna accent the first note. This is how I highly encourage you guys to practice your paradiddles, by accenting that first note. All right, so let's jump into what is really the key to playing clean paradiddles with this accent pattern. So if you think about it, there's essentially a combination of 3 different techniques happening as you're playing these paradiddles. The first technique you'll want to master for paradiddles is the downstroke, because this first stroke is a downstroke. You're coming from up high and you're coming down to strike the drum with an accent, and we don't want to allow that note to rebound all the way back up like a legato stroke. And this is because after this right hand and then the following left hand, I need to be down low for this double stroke. So I can't rebound back up and then get all the way back down to piano in time, especially as the tempo gets faster. I need to play a downstroke and then stay low so that I'm ready for a double stroke. If you're unfamiliar with downstrokes, you can go to my channel in the series to watch my video on downstrokes. So first note is a downstroke. After that note, we have left hand, and this left hand note is going to start as a piano tap down low, but it's going to be an upstroke. And the reason is, after this note happens and then I play this double stroke, I already have to be in motion with this note so that I can be ready for when it goes to the left for the downstroke, right? So think about it. Downstroke, upstroke, double stroke, and then the left hand. And that brings me to our next technique we need, which is double strokes. Because we have these doubles after that downstroke and the upstroke, we have a double stroke. So again, in total, we have downstroke, upstroke, double, downstroke, upstroke, double, downstroke, upstroke, double, downstroke, upstroke, double. Now, obviously that's in super slow motion, but as you get faster, that motion is going to start to smooth out. All right, so what are some exercises we can play to improve our paradiddles? I've got a few for you guys. The first one I would practice is the twos bucks pattern. So again, like I said, you really need to have downstrokes and upstrokes nailed down and comfortable in order to play paradiddles properly and with the correct dynamic contrast here. So the reason this exercise is so powerful and effective for building your paradiddles is that you're going to need that motion for the paradiddle itself, right? Because you have downstroke and then you have this left hand that happens, but right after that, that's the tap, one and, that's the actual rhythm, right? If you're thinking 16th notes, one E and, ignore that left hand for a second, one and. And then on the and beat, we're gonna have the double, of course, dun da da dun, dun da da dun. But it all stems from this, da do da, da do da. So I would practice bucks at a variety of tempos. Start very slowly and then build it up gradually. And you wanna look for having a good strong downstroke accent, and then your low tap note needs to be very low, and that tap note is the upstroke that leads you to the next accent, right? The next exercise I'd recommend you guys practice is any type of double strokes exercise. So for example, short, long 16th note rolls, or otherwise known as hugga dugga burr, where we want to go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. And you're essentially going to just practice working on evening out your doubles and making sure that at a slower tempo, you're using your wrist to produce those two doubles. But then the faster you go, you're gonna wanna start utilizing the bounce and use your forearm with that kind of chicken wing idea to start getting good clear doubles at a faster speed, because you're gonna need those as you get faster with your paradiddles. At that speed, I am definitely not rotating my wrist twice for those doubles. I'm simply doing one stroke for the first accent, which is the downstroke, and then I'm dropping in a double stroke with a bounce, right? So essentially, if I got rid of the upstroke, it would turn into this. That's essentially what's happening on each hand when you're playing paradiddles. So all starts from the fundamentals. If you want to play these rudiments, you got to start with the fundamentals of getting downstrokes, upstrokes, and double strokes. So last but not least, once you've isolated those techniques, I would then try a pattern like bucks with paradiddles variations. So this would look like something like this. You could do a measure of bucks and twos, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then play 2 paradiddle 5s. So all that is a paradiddle, and then a release on the left hand with an accent. So paradiddle 5 and paradiddle 5. And that's gonna be the rhythm. It's gonna be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, And then I would practice that same thing off the left. Left, 2, 3, 4. Left, right, left, right, left, 2, 3, 4. Left, right, left, right. And then I would, of course, get my metronome on. And then off the left, 2, ready, and. Last but not least, you could then try filling out the paradiddles, but in order to do this, if you're gonna practice both sides, I would do a measure of bucks off the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I would go off my left and play a full measure of paradiddles. Left, right, left, and the reason is that then after that, I could go straight into left-hand bucks for a bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a measure of right hand starting paradiddles. Right, left, right. So in total, with the Met, here we go, let's do it. And then I would simply take these patterns and gradually speed them up to your desired tempo. I'm gonna need to play paradiddles much faster. I mean, there's marching book that's upwards of 200 plus beats per minute playing paradiddles, 16th note paradiddles. So I gotta work this up. That was 120, let's speed it up a bit. All right, and very important that this is all mostly wrist oriented. For the double, yes, I'm gonna use my arm for that, but I really am trying to wrist up for those accents, right? I'm not gonna lift my entire arm. This is too slow, it's not gonna work out for us. So we gotta go wrist, and then downstroke so that I'm ready for my double, right? All right, last but not least, I'll try it at 200. And at this tempo, honestly, the bucks are harder than the paradiddles because that's pretty choppy. To go from downstroke to upstroke and getting that repeated pattern is pretty tough. And just a brief note, the most common paradiddle mistakes to look out for is that your taps are too high or too loud, right? So a lot of times you'll see players doing something like this, where everything is just kind of floppy and loose. If that's the case, you gotta bring everything a bit more in the box, slow it down, and watch for what's happening with that downstroke to the taps of the doubles. The doubles need to be low. Right, just break it all down much slower. And the other most common issue is uneven timing. Perhaps you're dropping in that left-hand tap too soon and you're going, right, something like that. Or that right-hand double isn't evened out and you just need to even it out. You definitely don't want to be crushing that double, so you don't want something like this, right? Where you're getting more bounces than you want, you're pressing down for a buzz. We definitely don't want that. We want to have a nice, crisp, open double, right? So work for that double timing and double spacing. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for yet another episode of Ari Teaches Drums in my Fundamentals series. I hope you found it useful. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for even more educational drum content. Stay well out there, and I'll see you on the other side. Ari Schiller, out.